Hey everybody, welcome back to My Opinion. I decided that I'm going to do the Blunt Talk once a week. I'm going to do it on Sundays. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to avoid a Covington Kids situation. If you guys aren't familiar, you can look it up. But to briefly explain it, a situation where a situation goes down, a bunch of people report on it, a bunch of other people jump in, they tweet, they start attacking each other, and then you find out the initial perspective, the initial story is bullshit. And now people are having to backtrack and come up with an excuse. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to process information over the week. Over the weekend, digest it, and then hopefully on Sundays put together a video of whatever I think is, I'd say, worth talking about, but it's more the things that I guess kind of grind my gears. So I'll just read Oliver Darcy's tweet. If you've been getting your news from right-wing media, you probably think armed militant Antifa activists have seized a section of Seattle. But the mayor's office tells me city officials have not interacted with armed Antifa militants at this site. Well, that clears up everything to me. Clears up to you, right? I mean, close the book. Case is closed. All right, so let's break this down real quick. So if you've been getting your news from right-wing media, you probably think that armed militant Antifa activists have seized a section of Seattle. So that's such a weird framing, right? That is intended to lead you to believe that it's not happening. But notice he doesn't at any point say that it doesn't happen there. He's being very clear to make sure he doesn't lie, right? So, because let's face it, I'm not saying anything is the way it is, but when I read this, if you're getting your news from right-wing media, you probably think, well, but if you do your research and you see that it is happening, then you would think it, and you would also know it, right? So this is a very misleading statement. It's framing to set up the next statement, which, again, doesn't declare or prove anything. In fact, the second statement is more vague than the first. But the mayor's office tells me. So he's not on the ground there checking out himself. He doesn't have his people on the ground checking it out. They don't have live reporting. So, and the mayor himself didn't say it. They don't have the mayor on. But the mayor's office says, city officials have not interacted. Okay, so I haven't interacted with somebody. In order for me to interact, they have to exist, right? City officials have not interacted with armed militant officials, armed Antifa militants at this site. So the city officials have not interacted with the Antifa militants at the site. So what you're saying is they are there, just the city officials haven't interacted with them. That's what you're saying? So you're acknowledging that there are armed Antifa militants at the site. Or city officials have not interacted with armed Antifa militants because what? The Antifa militants aren't armed? Are there armed militants but they're not Antifa? Are you saying there's armed Antifa but they're not militants? And lastly, at this site, are you saying that that city officials are interacting with armed Antifa militants someplace else, just not at that site? See what I'm saying here? The framing sets it up so that Oliver Darcy isn't lying while spoon-feeding you bullshit. And why I say bullshit is because there's no substance to this. This doesn't tell anybody anything. It's just framing it to the narrative that he wants you to see because he thinks you're stupid. Either that or he's stupid. So he is either lying or he's incompetent. The story of the week really revolves around the CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle. As of a week ago, it was 6 blocks that basically had been barricaded off. It was supposed to be a completely free and open environment. So this is what, this is, as of today, when I look up the news, these are the 3 top searches. So we got people with American flags attacked for entering Seattle's Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, which, from my understanding, is now been retitled the CHOP, the Capitol Hill Organized Protest. And I guess they are not trying to succeed from the nation anymore. Second is the Seattle's hottest new neighborhood is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And third is meet Raz Simone, the alleged warlord of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I just want to give a quick shout out. I am no way supported by these guys or endorsed or anything by all sides. Simply put, this is one of the best ways to check your bias. Regardless of what story you get, whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to think is untrue, I highly recommend go to allsides.com, look up your story, and read your sides, and look at the other side. Or in my case, being a moderate updist, if you're a moderate, read both. Ultimately, really, if you feel like you're actually passionate about something, you should read all 3. Because if you're passionate about something, you want to be informed. You want to be informed to what other people think about your ideas. You want to be informed of the arguments and the position and the ideas. Why does the other side feel as adamantly as they do? And then third, you want to try to get the facts. You want to know. Even if it proves you wrong, wouldn't you rather know that 2 + 2 is 4 and not 5? Might help you in life. All right, so obviously Oliver's tweet was misinformed at best and a purposeful lie at worst. But moving on, let's talk about the CHAZ. So check this out. Let's talk about real quick, we have to figure out why is this happening. For the most part, because people wanted police reform, which became abolition. Black Lives Matter came back out, and now that seems to be one of the mainstays. So through all this, somehow 6 blocks of Seattle was essentially blocked off. So let's hit that first. So the CHAZ is a bunch of people who went in, took over other people's land, and then set up borders. And by the way, this whole movement is for diversity and equality. Yet they took over the land, set up borders, and then said certain people can come in and certain people can't. And even within, and you can look this up, even within the CHAZ, they have these sad little gardens that it's blatant racism. They have signs that say one garden is for people of color and indigenous people. And then I assume that means that there is a separate garden for non-indigenous, non-people of color. So this is your diverse zone. But within it, you have blatant racism happening right there. Another thing we talk about is they wanted police reform. And then they wanted to, that moved into, you have to abolish the police. So check out this. This is just a YouGov poll. Credible. Nobody wants to defund the police. But let's go ahead and one-up that. One of the advocates for police reform, but absolutely not defunding the police, and one of the people that thinks the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone is a significant detriment to the cause that they think that they're fighting for. I believe this is Police Chief Carmen Best, an African-American woman who's the chief of the Seattle Police Department where all this is going down. seems like an absolutely outstanding woman. She seems like she has it together. She knows what she's talking about. This is who's saying that this is wrong, and they will not listen to her. So let's touch base. Why is it so hypocritical of these people in the CHAZ to demand the abolishment of the police department? Well, as soon as they set this up, they needed security of some sort. What happened? A Spotify rapper by Raz Simone with his Thug Gang and their guns came out and essentially became the police. In fact, they walk around talking about how they are the new police. So far, we have fought against borders to create borders. We fought against discrimination to discriminate against those allowed within. We fought against the police to then install new police, who is a warlord who basically is policing by force. These may have been debunked, but I heard rumors of extortion. And here's the thing, they talk about them being debunked. Well, if you're this owner there and you're getting extorted, and do you think you're going to tell the news reporter who's going to put it on national news that you're being extorted by this guy who's right down the street? Of course not. You're going to say whatever it is to protect yourself so that you have the least amount of damage. Think about these people in this area. They're already worried. They're stoked their place isn't burned down. If you have a business there, I mean, I imagine anybody who has a business there is trying to figure out their exodus as quickly as possible. President Trump had a very interesting tweet that read, "Radical left governor at Jay Inslee and the mayor of Seattle are being taunted and played at a level that our great country has never seen before. Take back your city now. If you don't do it, I will," Trump wrote. "This is not a game. These ugly anarchists must be stooped immediately. Move fast." Spell correct. Anyway. Then this article reads, one of the perceived leaders of the movement, Raz Simone, tweeted a response to Trump on Wednesday decrying that he is not a terrorist warlord. And so he goes on to say, "The president really put a hit on my head. I'm not a terrorist warlord. Quit spreading that false narrative," Simone tweeted. "The world has never been ready for a strong black man. We have been peaceful and nothing else. If I die, don't let it be in vain." All right, so let's talk about this real quick. This is fucking amazingly stupid. The president put a hit on my head. He said the ugly anarchist must be stopped immediately. He didn't say Raz Simone. So, Raz Simone, are you admitting that you're an ugly anarchist? You are running around with a thug gang with guns, claiming to be the new police. He put a hit on your head. No, he never said it. I'm not a terrorist warlord. Let me see through. I don't see. So, he didn't call anybody a terrorist warlord. That is the journalists that have been putting that in the news. Trump didn't say that. Quit spreading that false narrative. So, obviously, he wasn't. The world has never been ready for a strong black man. I totally agree. Martin Luther King has never existed. We haven't had Michael Jordan. We don't have LeBron James right now. We didn't have Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods. We don't have Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm going to stop there. This is just incredibly stupid. We have been peaceful and nothing else. That's proven to be absolute bullshit. There's video of him roughing up a graffiti artist. If I die, don't let it be in vain. If this dude dies at this point, I'm pretty sure that it's because he's asking for it on some level. I mean, come on. So here's how diverse and open to conversation they are in the CHAZ. Victoria Beach, the council president of the African American Community Advisory Council, which is part of the police department, went to the zone to plead with the protesters to speak to them and come to a peaceful resolution. She says, "The thing is, you have hijacked this. You have taken the meaning away." Victoria Beach, was part of the council, fumed at the crowd. She and another black woman who told protesters they needed to talk with the police department were booed. Later, Beach told Como News, "How are we going to be heard if that's happening? How are we going to come to the table and talk?" The zone is being referred to as the hashtag CHAZ, the autonomous zone. So here are African American women, part of the African American Community Council, who are coming out to talk to say, this is not working, this is not what we want to fix it, and they're being booed. If that doesn't tell you that they've lost the fucking plot, I don't know what does. They are saying it's not part of America, so while that is unlawful here in the U.S., maybe in the CHAZ, that's totally cool. One thing that's been happening in the CHAZ that also proves that it's no longer part of America is the fact that they have been pushing journalists out. You can't get much more anti-First Amendment and the freedom of expression and journalism and all that than kicking out the people, a lot of them that are just trying to get your story out there. So right here, this is just what a liberal journalist wrote. He's trying to go and just get the real story to bring from what's happening in the CHAZ. So, you know, what I think is really going on here is playtime for children. I'm hearing it referred to as the LARP, the live action role play. They know it's not going to last for too long, and basically people are just letting them have their fun. It's not getting any points across. It's more detrimental to any causes than anything. Any cause that actually felt like this is worth fighting, like these two women from the African American Council, gets shut down, and it's like, you know, they just need to take the real battle elsewhere, and just hope that people see that this is just a silly kids game they're playing. I mean, let's face it. So let's look at it. They stole land, so they're colonizers. They abolished the police and established their new police, who are extorting business owners. They're checking IDs. They are assaulting criminals, the people they deem that are criminals. They talk about no borders, yet they have distinct borders, and they very specifically discriminate against who can and cannot come in. They're pushing out journalists, even journalists from the left. There's multiple groups that dwell within the CHAZ that all have different objectives, and they all have their different demands that they want. So nothing is getting done because there's not a single narrative that can be brought to the table, and they don't want to bring anything to the table. When they say, hey, here's a table, we've set it, let's come to the table and talk, it's not happening. So Oliver Darcy, this tweet, you should be ashamed of yourself, but come on, man, you have no shame. Anyone who watches CNN, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, who buys into it? I watch it simply to know what I need to go and debunk now. All right, so that's it for this week, and this is amazingly fucking stupid. Thanks for joining for Blunt Talk. As always, this is just my opinion. Hopefully the world will sort this all out. Anyway, if you guys like this, hit that like button. If you haven't already, think about subscribing. Hopefully I've earned your guys' subscription. And I will check you guys later. Be safe out there.